What if I told you that President Trump wants these 10 Asian countries out of the US? From unexpected diplomatic moves to controversial policies, discover which nations are on the list and why. Stay tuned to find out who tops the chart. This isn't just about politics, guys, it's about understanding the world around us. Stick around to the very end because I'm going to need your take on all of this. First up, we've got Iran. This one's a no-brainer. Trump slapped a travel ban on Iran right out of the gate. See, Trump's administration called it a security risk, straight up. They were worried about terrorism and stuff. But here's the thing, a lot of folks weren't buying it. They called it out as straight-up discrimination against Muslims. I mean, think about it. Iran is a predominantly Muslim country, and this ban specifically targeted several Muslim-majority nations. People were getting blocked from seeing their families, studying in the United States, you name it. It was chaos. The ban went through a ton of legal battles back and forth, courts striking it down, Trump appealing. It was a whole thing. Finally, a version of the ban was upheld by the Supreme Court. But the controversy never really died down. People argued that it was discriminatory, that it went against America's values. And you know what? They had a point. This ban wasn't just about security, it was about sending a message, and that message, well, it didn't sit right with a lot of people. Next up is Syria, a country ravaged by a brutal civil war. Now, Trump's reasoning for banning travel from Syria was all about security concerns. He claimed that terrorists could use the refugee crisis to sneak into the United States. And yeah, there were definitely worries about ISIS and other groups exploiting the situation, but here's the thing. Banning refugees from a war-torn country, it just felt wrong to a lot of people. These were families fleeing for their lives, desperate for safety and a fresh start. The United States has a long history of welcoming refugees, offering them a helping hand. But this ban, it felt like we were turning our backs on those who needed us most. It sparked outrage and protests across the country. People from all walks of life came together to condemn the ban, arguing that it went against our core values as a nation. And you know what? They were right. Turning away those fleeing violence and persecution, it just didn't feel like the American way. Yemen, guys, Yemen, this country was already facing a horrific humanitarian crisis, the worst in the world according to the United Nations. We're talking famine, disease, widespread suffering, and what did Trump do? He slapped a travel ban on them too. His administration claimed it was about security, that Yemen was a hotbed for terrorism, but critics argued that the ban would only make the humanitarian crisis worse. It would prevent aid workers from getting in, separate families, and trap innocent people in a war zone. And you know what? They were right. The ban had devastating consequences for Yemen. It made an already dire situation even more desperate. It's a stark reminder that sometimes our actions have unintended consequences. And in this case, those consequences were felt most acutely by the people of Yemen. Alright, North Korea. This one might not come as a huge surprise. Tensions between the United States and North Korea were at an all-time high under Trump. Remember all those missile tests, the threats of nuclear war? Yeah, it was intense. So, Trump decided to ban travel from North Korea, citing security concerns and trying to pressure the regime. It was a bold move, and it definitely sent a message. But did it really achieve anything? That's debatable. North Korea remained defiant, continuing its nuclear program despite the sanctions and the travel ban. In the end, the ban mostly just hurt ordinary North Koreans who were hoping to escape the oppressive regime or reconnect with loved ones abroad. It's a reminder that sometimes, even with the best intentions, our actions can have unintended consequences. Next up, Libya, man, what a mess. This country has been plagued by instability and violence ever since the fall of Gaddafi. Militias running wild, ISIS gaining a foothold, it was pure chaos. And Trump's response, you guessed it, a travel ban. He argued that Libya was too dangerous, that terrorists could easily exploit the situation to enter the United States. And yeah, there were definitely legitimate security concerns. But the ban also drew criticism for further destabilizing the country and punishing innocent Libyans. It made it harder for families to reunite, for students to study abroad, for businesses to operate. It was a blunt instrument that caused a lot of collateral damage. Sometimes, the toughest challenges require nuanced solutions, and in Libya's case, a travel ban just wasn't the answer. Next we have Somalia, a country synonymous with piracy and terrorism in many people's minds. And yeah, the threat from groups like Al-Shabaab is real. Trump used this as justification for his travel ban, claiming it was necessary to protect the United States from terrorism. But the ban had a devastating impact on Somali Americans, many of whom were separated from loved ones or prevented from bringing their families to safety. Imagine being a United States citizen, unable to hug your mother, meet your newborn niece, or attend your brother's wedding because of where they were born. It was a cruel policy that tore families apart and fueled discrimination against Somali communities in the United States. The ban didn't make us any safer, but it did make us a little less compassionate, a little less welcoming. Next, Myanmar, formerly known as Burma, is a country grappling with a horrific humanitarian crisis. The Rohingya Muslims, a persecuted minority, were being subjected to ethnic cleansing, driven from their homes by the military. The world watched in horror as stories of atrocities emerged. And what was Trump's response? Initially, he seemed reluctant to criticize the Myanmar government, even appearing to downplay the violence. But as international pressure mounted, his administration eventually imposed sanctions on some Myanmar military leaders and cut off military aid. However, a full-blown travel ban never materialized. It was a complex situation, with the United States trying to balance its interests in the region with its commitment to human rights. In the end, the response was seen by many as too little, too late. Next is Pakistan, a key player in the fight against terrorism, but also a country with its own set of challenges. Trump's approach to Pakistan was a mixed bag. On the one hand, he recognized the country's importance in the region and sought to improve relations. But on the other hand, he also expressed concerns about Pakistan's commitment to combating terrorism and imposed stricter visa restrictions. These restrictions made it more difficult for Pakistanis to visit the United States, whether for business, tourism, or family reasons. It created a climate of uncertainty and frustration, straining ties between the two countries. It's a reminder that diplomacy is a delicate dance, and sometimes even small steps can have big consequences. Next is Afghanistan, a country forever linked to the United States in the aftermath of 9/11. After 2 decades of war, Trump came into office promising to bring American troops home. But, he also took a hard line on Afghan refugees, slashing the number allowed into the United States. This decision was met with criticism from those who argued that the U.S. had a moral obligation to help those who had risked their lives alongside American forces. The reduction in refugee admissions left many Afghans in limbo, stranded in dangerous conditions or separated from loved ones. It was a stark reminder of the human cost of war and the difficult choices faced by policymakers. And last but not least, we have Iraq. This one's a roller coaster, guys. Remember how Trump included Iraq in his initial travel ban? Yeah, that caused a huge uproar. Iraq was a key ally in the fight against ISIS, and many Iraqis had risked their lives alongside U.S. forces. The ban felt like a slap in the face, a betrayal of those who had sacrificed so much. Facing intense pressure, Trump eventually removed Iraq from the ban, but the damage was done. The ban strained relations between the two countries and sowed mistrust among Iraqi communities in the United States. It's a reminder that even when policies are reversed, the scars they leave behind can linger for years to come. So there you have it, guys, the 10 Asian countries caught up in Trump's travel ban. We've seen the arguments, the protests, the real-world consequences. It's a complex issue with no easy answers. But one thing's for sure, these policies have had a profound impact on countless lives. They've forced us to confront tough questions about security, immigration, and what it means to be American. Which country surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more eye-opening stories.